Hey Dude,
The 90s called.
with Christine Taylor and David Lascher.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hey Dude, the 90s called podcast. I'm David Lascher.
And I'm Christine Taylor, and we have a really exciting guest, a sort of member of your television family, David, yes?
Yeah, we all have so much in common, from our start at Nickelodeon. But Melissa she has a production company called Heartbreak Films, and she and her mom are such incredibly smart, entrepreneurial women. And I don't know if many people know about that. And I can't wait to get into it with her, but you both are like family to me. And
And I've never met Melissa either. And I mean, of course, I've watched her grow up over the years and our Nickelodeon connection, but I've never met. And I'm so excited.
Oh my God, I can't believe you know
Yay.
about her. All right, let's let her in. Melissa Joan Hart.
Hi, guys.
Straight
Melissa.
out of Nashville. What's up, Mel?
Hi.
It is so nice to meet you. We share a
You
middle
too.
name in common. I am Christine Joan Taylor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. So I've
That's so
always felt
funny.
and when I first started working, I was Christine Joan Taylor, and then it just kind of it disappeared. I had to use that name for the Screen Actors Guild because there was
That's
another.
why I have to. Yeah, that's where my middle name. But I like it was my grandmother's, and I never
Yes,
had a
it's
girl to pass it on to,
yes,
so.
it's my mom's name too. I love it.
There was another Christine Taylor and another Melissa Hart
Yeah.
in SAG.
Once upon a time.
They're
Yeah.
on another podcast talking right now.
Oh, Mel,
Hi.
it's so good to see you. Oh
You
my
too,
gosh.
David. So, David, I funny enough, I go on Wednesday mornings to Bible study with Danica McKellar, who said this morning that she had such a crush on you.
Danica
She's
from
like, well, she said
Wonder
to say
Years.
hi. She didn't tell me to tell you that she had a crush on you, but
Oh, tell her I send my regards, but I it's so good to see you, and we miss you out here. And let me just start by saying we all have so much in common. Okay, first of all, the two of you are not just castmates to me. You know, you're like family to me, and it just makes me so happy. And we all started at Nickelodeon.
yeah.
So let's just, let's jump into that. Clarissa explains it all and how that came to be and what you were doing at the time and how that changed your life.
Yeah. I mean, I started when I was 4 doing commercials. And so then, I was like known in elementary school as like the Rice Krispies girl or the Lifesavers girl. And then, and then I did a lot of like off Broadway because I couldn't sing. So I did like a lot of off Broadway stuff. And a lot of the kids made fun of me for being a has-been because I was no longer on TV, but I didn't even put together that I was like still working actress. But, I was doing all these plays and stuff. And then from one of the plays, so when Clarissa came about, I was actually auditioning for Blossom and Clarissa at the same time.
Wait. To play Blossom?
To play 6.
Oh my
I think
God.
Blossom, I think I
Wow.
might have gone into the audition to play Blossom, but they quickly transitioned me to 6 because I think Mayim got cast pretty quickly or
I
something.
never
like that.
knew that.
Yeah, so I was auditioning for 6 at the same time as I'm auditioning for Clarissa. And I think I did like 3 auditions for both almost simultaneously. Like, I think I'd go into New York City. I was living in Long Island and I go into New York City and audition, I think for both like on the same days and stuff. It was weird. And so, yeah. And so I was kind of like, I remember praying at night and being like, God, let me like pick the best path for me, whichever one is going to be the best one, like help me get there. But yeah, so Clarissa came about because I was doing a play and the producer did not want to see blondes. Like he refused to let a blonde play Clarissa because he was so sure that a blonde couldn't be smart enough or like, sassy enough to be this kind of like nonconformist character.
Oh
And
my.
he wouldn't see me. And because of one of the plays I was doing, he went into I think he went into his veterinarian's office and there was a dog named Valerie and he asked why. And he said, well, I found this stray last night when I was coming home from the theater and I saw this girl, Melissa, in this play, Valerie, and playing Valerie. And so he had named the dog after my character. And the producer said, well, how was she? Because they're really pushing for her to be on my show. And he goes, oh, you've got to see her for the audition. So it was like the veterinarian who got me the job or something. So yeah, so that's so then Clarissa, like, did you guys shoot it? You shot up in Canada, right? Or where did you guys shoot?
No, we shot on location in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Well, that makes
No,
sense.
no studio, no stages.
Well, lucky you guys, because I was at like Kids Central, Nickelodeon, Universal Studios, Florida. You know, just like
Oh, you had luxury. We were like the guinea pigs of Nickelodeon. You came on our backs and had probably a proper budget. And
Yes,
that's true. It was a brand new facility with 2 sound stages and like a whole
Oh
like
my
I'm
so
eating like
jealous.
slime and gack at lunch because the slime and gack kitchen was next to our sound stage. But I was like locked inside. I'd go back to New York every few weeks on a hiatus, and they'd say like, have you been in Florida? Why are you so pale? And I'm like, because I'm like in a sound stage 23
All
hours
day.
a day. Yeah. Like, when am I seeing the sun? I think once we went to the roof to watch one of the space shuttles take off from Cape Canaveral or something. But
Wait,
but
how
yeah,
old were you at this point?
I think when I started, I was about, I want to say the pilot, I was 12, but when we started shooting, I was 13. So from like
Okay.
13 to 17, I was doing Clarissa.
So smack dab, like from middle school into your entire high school experience.
Like perfect timing in a way, because that's right around the time like bullying and starts and like some of that not such fun stuff, right? Where
there's no worse time to be first. I want to say any kid, but a girl, especially during that
Yep.
period of time, it
middle
is
school's brutal. It's
brutal.
brutal. It's just not right. Like, there's something just so wrong. I was actually talking to a school principal about it with my kids, and she goes, it's just not fair. I get them after they're done with their sweet, innocent phase, and I send them off right before they become like cool kids.
It's true. There's 2 or 3 years there that are just, very difficult.
Figuring it out, right? And so I'm like working in New York City, but going to school in Long Island, which is like preppy, yuppie Long Island, but working with like Callista Flockhart and like William Hurt in the city, and like and wearing just like off-color things for what the Long Island kids were wearing. And so right as like all that kind of bullying stuff starts, when people start realizing I'm not quite the same as them and I don't have the same style or any style really, I go down to Orlando and I'm working on a show where like I'm the star, and there's all these kids. Everyone that worked on the show was like 23, 25, like somewhere in there. That was like people I looked up to, people I wanted to date or like, wanted to be like. And they all liked me as long as they didn't care what music I was listening to, because I was listening to like the Monkees and They Might Be Giants, like not cool stuff, right? Like everyone else is like listening to like Duran Duran. And
I loved They Might Be Giants back then.
I love them. They're so
them.
quirky. But then, and so then I go to Orlando, and everyone there is just like, all the adults are like, if I'm nice to them, they're nice to me. And I was like, that's a cool trade. Like, that's a cool trade-off. I can wear whatever I want. I can listen to whatever I want. I can be whoever I want, as long as I'm nice. And so that was like I think I lucked out with being in Orlando and being around the crew I was around.
Oh,
Melissa,
that's
which
great.
Christine and I talked about starting on a show on Nickelodeon, and how we had no idea people were watching it at all for probably a year. Clarissa was a huge hit show. Did you know it was, or,
No,
or were you
because
in a bubble?
I think like you guys, like I watched your show obviously, and I watched like You Can't Do That on Television, and oh my gosh, what was the one that Ryan Reynolds and Corky they were doing at the same time as you guys?
Yes, it was like a soap, like a teen
Yeah.
soap, right?
Salute
High
Your
school.
Shorts?
No. It was a drama, right?
Yeah. It's one word. I can't think of it.
Yes, we'll
Right.
think of it before.
Because
Oh.
I dated Corky, and then like kind of had a little thing with Ryan, but they were on a Nickelodeon show too. I met them at Nick
Ryan
takes me to
Reynolds?
school. Yeah.
Yes, and Laura Harris, I think, was
Yeah.
on that show. I remember
It was all
because
the Vancouver kids.
it was a Canada show, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
That's why I think that's why I thought you guys were in Canada. Because I met Corky was one of the kids on it, and I met him like in Utah or something at a Nick Takes Over Your School, and we started like phone dating right from Vancouver to Orlando. But then I worked with Ryan Reynolds on the Sabrina movie, the first movie we did. Ryan was in it. But the show was called 15. That's what it was.
15, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm like one word, something about
Yes.
teenagers. Yeah, 15.
I
And, that
never
was
heard of that.
So I would always watch Hey Dude and 15, but I felt like I was one of the few people that had cable even. Like a lot of people didn't quite have cable, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what we were saying. A lot of people just didn't know. It wasn't as accessible the way it is now, where you get every channel. No, that was
Yeah.
a big deal. You subscribed to that package, right?
There was very few people that
Yes.
had cable, let alone watched Nickelodeon. Yeah, and so I feel like the show, probably a little bit like you guys did, like it snowballed. Like it was being seen by some people, but not like it wasn't on the scale of like a network show, obviously, where it's like on the side of buses and on billboards and, being advertised everywhere. It just wasn't. They just didn't have that capability, I think.
Yeah. Christine and I talk about feeling like total outsiders, like when we went to present at the Kids' Choice Awards, or, we didn't even know anyone was watching Nickelodeon, but it really blew up so fast and so furiously.
It did. I feel like I remember the first time I got recognized on the streets in New York City, and somebody was like, "You're on that show, Clarissa," and I was like, "Oh," and then all of a sudden I felt like humility. Like I was like, "Oh, you watch Nickelodeon? Like you watch a kids show? You watch a kids network?" I'm sorry. At this point I'm like 16. I'm probably like a little like, "Ooh, oh, okay, good for you." But I just remember that like one moment of being recognized for Clarissa that kind of threw me off. I didn't know how to react. I definitely reacted inappropriately, but
I feel like
embarrassed.
Nickelodeon, in 1990 was like the Snapchat of TV. The kids felt like the parents aren't watching. This is for us. We own this.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
that is true.
And I think that's what led to the success. But can we go into Sabrina, because
Can I ask one quick question about Clarissa? Like, you're suddenly the lead of a series, right? You're carrying that show. You're breaking the fourth wall. Like, did that come very easily for you? Like, did you just sort of carry it and think like, this is so natural for me? Or was it nerve-wracking, challenging? And did you feel the pressure of like, the show is called Clarissa, I'm playing Clarissa?
Like all of those things.
Yes.
All of those.
Yes.
Okay, so I had just done the play I did when I said I was Valerie. It was called Imagine You Brad. It was written by Peter Hedges, who's like an amazing writer.
Incredible.
And now director. And it was directed by Joe Mantello before he went to do Wicked. Like it was
What?
like his first directing gig. So, and it was a monologue.
You're theater geeking out here.
It was
Yes, exactly.
Okay. It was a monologue. So I was on stage every night, or like 8 times a week, giving what should have been a half-hour monologue, but I would talk so fast it would become 20 minutes. And so it was a girl who just got her period and is trying to she's making out with a pillow, and she's trying to figure out if she should shove some tissues up there, like all this stuff. Like, right, it was like this crazy cool, I'm singing I Am Woman, jumping up and down on a sofa, making phone calls, but it's just a monologue. So I was very comfortable already sort of breaking that fourth wall and saying things that were a little off, for my age, and just being a little bit bigger than life, I guess. So it kind of fed right into Clarissa. It actually, I think it's why I got the part, because I was already comfortable in that zone.
That makes sense.
Really, really hard. It was really hard because of, you guys know, like high school, SATs, college applications, all that stuff that comes along that I'm doing right now with my 17-year-old, but trying to do that and have a TV show. And I was back then. So nowadays, obviously everyone knows with their cell phones and whatnot, when you record something, it records on all the devices. If you record on 4 cameras, you're recording on all 4 cameras. But I don't know if you guys had the same thing. I think you probably did, but oh no, you probably did single cam. Was your single cam?
Oh no.
No.
Oh no. Oh no. We had 3. We were lucky enough to squeeze 3 as a multi-camera, right, David?
Yeah, outdoors.
Outdoors, no audience, right? No.
Yeah, we didn't have an audience either.
Okay.
And I wonder if that came from your show in a way, because we didn't have the audience, but we still worked like 15-hour days. Like it was insane. But the amount of dialogue I had to do, I think almost every episode I did 3 or 4 monologues, and then we'd have these 10-page scenes of dialogue. And so to memorize it, we only had 1 camera isolated. So it meant that they had to like live TV it, right? Like snap. They couldn't edit it later. They kind of had to edit it in camera. So I couldn't mess up my lines, and everything was delivered directly to 1 camera, and maybe I'd turn to another camera, and maybe we could do a pickup if I did turn. But most monologues I had to do straight through 3-4 pages. So I would try to memorize all that like on a Sunday so that I could record it on Wednesday or Thursday. Like I was memorizing all week long, and we only got Saturdays off. We worked all day Sunday through Friday. And It was brutal. I was exhausted. When I did Sabrina, I was so like, this is so nice. I get to like bounce off people, talk off people, do 2 pages, do a few lines, walk out of the room, not be in a scene. It was awesome.
No
Well-
job would be as hard as that one. Your first
Yeah,
job.
what
No
great
job.
training. What great training for you.
Yeah,
And
I was
that's why
exhausted.
you let's go into Sabrina, because first of all, you always did seem so calm and so chill and so just comfortable. And when
I
everyone
was so
else,
happy to be not doing Clarissa.
well, let's talk about Heartbreak Films and you and your mom Paula, who, please send her my love. I let me just say, this cast of Sabrina, like Hey Dude, was more of a family, right? And Melissa's mom would have a game night every week, and I think I had friends show up there when I wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And we just, it was a revolving door from her house to Paula's house, and it was just unbelievable. And
We like to party. We definitely like to party.
but
I
it
mean,
was
in a fun, safe way, not in like, hey, let's do some lines and you
no,
know.
it was
like,
it was
it was
ping
totally
pong.
like grab a beer, shoot
appropriate.
some pool.
Appropriate partying.
It was ping pong and games and.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
Melissa, you and your mom, you licensed the rights to the Sabrina character from Archie Comics, correct? How did that
Yep.
come out?
Yeah. When I was living in New York right after Clarissa, my mom was she was managing my career. She didn't like the offers that were coming in for me after coming off a kids show like that, or, you know, because of Nickelodeon, because of the fan base I'd built. She was thinking about branding before it was called branding, I think. And so she was like, someone handed her a comic book on the playground at one of the New York schools. I have a very large family. I'm the oldest of 8. So one of the siblings, some friend brought a comic book and they said, hey, this would be a great role for Melissa. And it was an Archie comic that nobody, you know, everybody knew Archie and Jughead, but nobody really knew Sabrina. And so she went to the Archie comics, optioned it for like $1. And then
No way.
yeah,
For
and then because
$1.
of our $1.
Stop.
And then because of our connection with Nickelodeon, she knew some people at Viacom, which was the parent company. So she went to Viacom and said, hey, I want to make this movie. Let's do it for Showtime. They said, yeah, let's do that. And we made the movie. And then the whole time we're making the movie in Vancouver with Ryan Reynolds, she was saying she kept telling Viacom, this would be a fantastic series. And they were like, yeah. Okay. But when she went into the editing bay, and David knows my mom is like, when she's producing something, she is like all hands on. She has wardrobe fittings, she is casting, she is editing, she is all that. She cut together a trailer for a TV series, what it would look like, you know, if we took this movie and made it a TV series. And she cut a little trailer and she pitched that around to, I think at the time there were 5 networks, right? There were 5 networks, I think. And like 3 of them in the room gave her a bid on it. So
Oh my God.
I mean,
Right
to
away,
hear
we
this story, and by the way, just because, you know, we always say this is a 90s podcast, but the fact that you had a mother who was such a badass as a
Yes.
woman in the 90s, you know what I mean? That was not a common thing of
No.
a sort of self-starting that mentality. And for her to, like you just said, when she's producing, she was all hands on deck. Like, how incredible. Like,
yeah, I mean, she was, you know, an uneducated teen mom. Like, you know, she had me she had me a week before she turned 20. And then she, you know, had 5 kids in her 20s. And then she goes, like, she finished college online before there was really online. Like, she did like some kind of college from afar while she's like managing 5 kids and managing our
Stop.
careers as well.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yeah, so she was very much a self-starter, very much a boss bitch back before that
Love
was true.
it.
Paul is a brilliant businesswoman, and yes, she was there at every run through, at every table read. I mean, she didn't leave every wardrobe fitting. Right, Melissa? I mean, she was involved
non-writing
in.
producer, and I think it's rare that they're so present. And I mean, she was there for every minute of it. I mean, to a fault in a way where I'm like, hey, our company, Heartbreak, you could go like get another project started. She's like, no, I got
this part. I got this part, Mom. Right.
I know, but how cool for a mother and a daughter to be partners in that way. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and it's so freaking cool. And
Well, I think that's why, like, a lot of people, when like the Me Too movement and stuff came around, I had no stories to share because I was like,
protected.
I think the fact that I was so protected. I think being in Orlando during Clarissa, the crew there really, really protected me. They really looked out for me. And then to have my mom with me all through, LA time and the show and everything else, it's like she was always by my side. So that kind of crap never came into my world, luckily.
Can we talk about the guest stars on Sabrina? Because the list is like
Christine,
phenomenal.
how are you never on it, by the way?
I can't believe this. I can't. This is like, I keep saying, like, for the people that I'm meeting doing this show, that I didn't get to do those things then, but now, like, we're making up for it now. Just getting to do this now. We'll do something together.
Good. I hope so.
Yes.
I remember Usher singing to you. I mean, In Sync and Backstreet. Tell me,
like
Britney
Mathis
Spears
in a Christmas one, and like all the pop stars and all the like 90s.
Like insane. Right? How did you guys
but
get?
I was into like I wanted Blondie there. I wanted Violent Femmes there. Like that's
but that your mom knew better.
Well, I think the network was like, "Hey, we got to get these boy bands on." And I was like, "All right, but what about like where's the Monkeys? Like, I want Davy Jones." So Davy Jones was like
Davy Jones, the best.
We had Barbara Eden, we had Lonnie Anderson, we had.
So you were current, but also retro. You really appealed to. That's what I think is so cool about the show is it really appealed to the masses. It wasn't just for kids. It wasn't just for kids. I mean, it really wasn't. It was. I feel like Beth and Caroline are brilliant comedic gems, and But how did you get those guest stars? Like, was it
right? Britney
your
Spears, In Sync.
Or was it fans?
I think it was that we have a very big budget, so it was very lucrative for people to come work with us for a day or two. Sure. But also, I think a really big draw was that especially the people that I wanted on, the icons kind of people, like their kids and their grandkids wanted to see them. Shirley Temple considered coming on as my grandmother. Like that was like
she was still alive.
Yeah.
Shirley Temple
died a few years ago. Yeah. Not a few.
Wow.
Maybe. Yeah. But we asked her, she's my idol. And I was like, hey, you want to play my grandma? She goes, oh, sweetie. When I gave up the business when I was 22, I swore I could never do it again. Like I'm done.
Oh.
But it was a gateway to a young audience, right? Before social media, if you wanted to reach 12, 13-year-olds.
On Friday nights.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Very, very much so. You're right about that. And I do think it like gave them prestige among like their kids and grandkids. Like a lot of people wanted to come on, but like for a lot of the bands, like I was just talking to Nicole Scherzinger, who is, at the time she was on Eden's Crush, and now, and then there's stories about oh my gosh, the American Idol. Oh my gosh, Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah,
there's like a background extra on Sabrina. Apparently,
no way.
There's a scene where she's like walking past. Yeah, in the back. Yeah.
So you're finding out about people now that were on the show that have since become successful, and they have their Sabrina stories. Oh, that's really terrific.
Crazy. Weird. It makes me feel so old, by the way.
Yeah, but the show did have guest stars every week. Like that was a big part of the theme of the show. So there were 2 or 3 people every week that would come on, and
Julio. We had Dick Van Dyke tap dance. I didn't even.
Oh my goodness, that's right.
Some of this stuff went right over my head. Like I didn't even realize. And someone said that I tap danced with Dick Van Dyke. Like I think a fan I was being interviewed, and someone asked me how that was, and I was like, "What did I do? What do you mean I did? No, I didn't." And they're like, "Yeah, do you want to see it?" And I like watched it, and I had to like go through my brain and go, "Why wouldn't I remember this?" And so I'm thinking about what it would be like on set, right? Knowing Dick Van Dyke's coming, knowing I have to tap dance with him, knowing there's a scene, knowing he's older. I mean, he's still with us now, but he was older then too. But like, I'm sure I was so nervous about the dance moves and the lines and making sure I was prepared. So when he got there, he could be in and out. And I think it was probably hey, how are you? Okay, let's try this. Shoot it a few times. Okay, bye. Thanks for being, I don't think there was any other, like we had Gary Marshall on and he was awesome. George Wendt played a role for a season.
Yeah, he played my boss at the newspaper. Oh my gosh.
We had such great, wonderful. Yeah. I mean, even, what's her name from, Cheers, Shelley Long was on an episode.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, we really
and David, when did you came into the show, which season? Were you right from
I think
College
at the
4?
end of season 2, maybe.
Was it 2?
I did 3
Was it-
seasons.
Was it when we went to college?
No,
Oh no. It's when I got sick of Harvey.
right.
Not me, but when the character kind of.
And let's just say Nate Reichert is one of the greatest guys ever. And there's there was Josh or Harvey. Josh was stealing Harvey.
There's still a big battle about Josh or Harvey.
Yeah, I got a lot of hate. But let me tell one story though. We had great directors too, including Melissa Joan Hart, who directed a lot of episodes. But Henry Winkler directed a bunch of episodes. And I don't know if this show was in season 5 or 6. And we were kind of just going through the motions, right? And he called me at like 10 o'clock at night with an idea of a bit. And it was such a lesson for me. I thought, this guy, he's done it all. And at 10 o'clock at night, he's still thinking about how to make this show better. I'm like, you got to come and show up every day. I don't care what season you're in, bring it. You got to bring it.
I mean, that is the cool. Did you ever have a moment where you're like, the Fonz is calling me at 10 o'clock at night, giving me notes?
Me. Now I'm jealous.
The Fonz has my number.
Oh, he's a sweetheart.
The sweetest human being, right?
Right, but he doesn't just show up and go through it. He cares passionately. And I feel like Sabrina, the show, was surrounded by people from Erin in makeup and people who cared passionately about the show.
And our team, some of our crew went on to do amazing things. Erin in makeup is like Ryan Murphy's right-hand girl. Like, she does all the American Horror Story, and she did Glee. I mean, she just does endless, now she just did, last year she was nominated for an Oscar for Hillbilly Elegy, and she just does all these huge shows and movies. And then our special effects guy, because our special effects were, believe it or not, sophisticated for the moment, but also as much as you could afford for a television show.
A little peanut butter and a clicker.
Yeah, and here's the cat talking. But Steve Kolbach was the head of our visual effects, and he went on to do Game of Thrones. So he just did, he did the 7-8 seasons of Game of Thrones. I don't think he did House of Dragons recently, but he's on one of the other prequels or sequels that they're working on. So, we had this crew that part of our crew had come from Murder, She Wrote, and they all used Sabrina as retirement, right? They rode the 7 years we did, and then they went off to retirement. And then the younger ones went on to go off to amazing projects. And I'm just so proud of all of them. We all worked really well together as a crew and a cast we're like, once we got the formula down, I think, David, once you came into it, we started having lighter days. We were having some crazy days with the cat and the special effects. Were you there when we were doing 2 a.m. Fridays?
Yeah, but we didn't have an audience, right? So it was like a single camera show, but a multicam sitcom, but without an audience.
It was we took the model from Clarissa. It was like a hybrid where we rehearsed for 2 days and shoot for 3 with 3 cameras, but film. We were shooting film.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Having to reload and run out. And
was it before digital? Really?
It was. Yeah.
Oh
I mean, we could have done to tape, but I think back then network shows didn't do tape. They did film. So we were running 1,000 mag, it wasn't Fuji. It was, I guess it was Kodak. We were running film. So it was crazy. 1,000 mag.
For the listeners, that costs a lot of money.
A lot of money. And when little Melissa decides, because I always like to play with everything, and I go up to the camera in between every take, and I ask them to teach me how to load a camera, and then I pop the perfs on the film, and they have to go take the whole can and go into the dark room and rewire the whole roll, because I've decided I loaded it wrong. I loaded the camera wrong. That was fun.
Oh boy.
Good time.
Well, how did you decide to start directing the episodes?
Funny enough, it was my mom forcing me. I just was always so bossy. During the time, I think, Dave, maybe the first season you were there, I was doing Drive Me Crazy in Utah during weekends.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we got to talk about that. But yeah, go ahead.
So I was working in Utah on the weekends and working on Sabrina during the week. And I was just being so bossy that everyone was like, oh, can't wait for you to direct. I'm going to, the director on Drive Me Crazy, I remember him going, when you direct, I want to be there because I'm going to pick on you the way you've picked on me this whole time. So eventually my mom threw a DGA card at me, basically went, we signed you up for the DGA. You're directing the next episode. And I was like, okay. Like, I wasn't going to say no. I was scared, but I probably wouldn't have done it myself had she not kind of pushed me into that and been like, you got to do it. And there's no safer place. Like I had to tell Candace Cameron Bure recently this, like, because she asked me a few years ago on Fuller House, like, she's like, I think I'm going to direct. What should I do? What do I need? What do I need to know? I said, here's all you need to know is once you do it, you're going to be like, why haven't I been doing this the whole time? Because when you're with your own crew and you know the cast names and you know those characters so well and you know every crew member's name, like when I go direct other people's shows, one of the hardest things is figuring out who's the prop guy again, or, you know, I need to get makeup in here to fix this, or, you know, like which is each camera name. And, you know, so trying to figure out the crew names can be a huge, just knowing who to lean on and who to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to ask this person about that. I'm going to ask this person about that. And just having them protect you and, you know, be on your own show and that kind of thing is a safety net. And so no better place to learn. And plus on Sabrina, as you know, David, super difficult show because of the special effects, because of the cat, because of we were shooting it with 3-camera film in a hybrid, you know, just learned a lot of different kind of how to survive in this industry sort of techniques.
Right. And you've gone on, first of all, again, Paula, incredible entrepreneurial insight, you know, to have you do that because you've had a thriving directing career.
I've directed more in the last 2 years than I actually have to keep being like, can I get a SAG job so I can keep my insurance? Like,
what do you love more? Or do you still just, and aside from Sabrina, have you directed yourself since then?
I only directed myself in the beginning. They would only give me jobs as a female director. I feel like could only get jobs if I worked in a no contract with me starring in it.
It's so funny because Ben Stiller, it was the same for a little while. It was that if you want to direct it, will you star in it as well?
Oh my
and that's
God.
you know, and I don't think people realize how much work that is.
It's so difficult, right? On Sabrina, it was hard because we didn't do playback for every take. So, you know, I started asking around, like, what did they do in the old days before they had monitors? And they were like, you just ask your camera operator, did you get it? And they got to tell you yes or no. If they didn't get it, then you got to do it again. Like,
it's all about trust, right? Having that that one person or that one, you know, where you inherently know that you get the nod that, okay.
And I do. Wow. To answer your question, I think I prefer directing. I feel more creative in it. I feel like I have more control. I like the storytelling aspect. I worked with Sean Astin on a TV show and he used to say that actors are meat puppets. And I was like, that's a little bit right. Sometimes, like,
that's really good.
It's dark, right? It's like
really good.
I'm a meat puppet. Like, but then again, I go back and forth. Like when I do these Lifetime movies, I'll direct one and I star in one and I'll be like directing one and be like, oh, I can't wait to just like put on pretty clothes and say funny lines and not have to worry about where the camera goes or what the weather's like today or what, you know, I can just kind of be there and you know, be pretty and silly. And but then I'm like acting in one weekend and I'm like, oh no, I need to direct. I don't like not being the boss. Like I really shift back and forth. But
I mean, actors really have it easy, right? I mean, you know, for your films, let's say for Lifetime, it takes you months and months to get the script, set it up, and then you're on set, you know, 6 a.m. Actors roll in, get their makeup and
say their lines, are there for a few scenes, maybe you wait a while and you watch a show or you're reading a book in your trailer. Or you are still, you know, you're a mom too. So you can also still be a mom and help your children through whatever you need to help them through at the time, right? When you're directing, and you're getting, I mean, as a mom, you're getting that anyway. You're everyone needs you all the time, but then you go to work and everyone needs you all the time. So I imagine that it can be a real drain, like really draining. Exhausting. Like directing is so exhausting. Like you said, it's, you know, you're prepping for so long, you're shooting for the full shoot, and then you're in post for a while. And then, you know, if it's an independent or something, you're out on the festival circuit, you're trying to sell it. But it's, and as a director and sort of still, even though it's been 20 years, like still feeling like a new director, like as far as getting my kind of credentials and getting more of a resume built up. I feel like I get paid half to direct, but work 3 times as much, you know? So sometimes I'm like, I just want to act and get that paycheck and just be silly. And also when you're directing, a lot of people come to you and go, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. What are you working on? Are you, you know, and I'm like, I've been directing. I'm like, oh, Like in the industry, I go, oh, but anyone outside the industry goes, oh.
Oh, I have director friends that are so envious that they're not recognizable. It's like
Really?
they work so hard. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
see, and I'm okay with being like, I don't need to be recognizable, but sometimes it does feel a little crappy when, especially on social media, they're like, where have you been?
Yeah. When are you going to do something again? When are we going to
Oh
see you
my
again?
Don't you love that? Like, I love that. Like people think it's so easy. Oh, I love my favorite thing that people say to me, like, especially relatives or friends that are like new friends that don't really know how the industry works. Like I moved to Nashville 2 years ago and they'll just be like, you know what you should do? You should be on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that's always my favorite.
You know what? Yes. Or
Yeah,
why weren't
just
you in the
jump on
Thanksgiving
there.
Day parade? Or you know, you should just be on that show, Fleischman's in Trouble. I'm like, no kidding. Really? Let me go do that. Why didn't I think of that?
Always my favorite. You would be so good on that show. You should really talk to somebody about being on that show. Oh, okay. Thank you. That's
Honestly,
how it works.
People who are not in the industry think we're all just like one big group of people that just interchange. We could jump into things.
It kind of relates to like when I was little and I was on all these commercials. The kids would always be like, would they see my mom drive me up in a Volvo or something, and they'd be like, "You don't drive a limo? You don't get driven around in a limo?" Like, no, that's not how it works. I don't get a limo just because I did a commercial.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
David, we have to talk about where we met.
Oh my gosh, the movie in Carolina, right?
So funny. Christine, have you ever heard of Twisted Desire?
No.
Twisted Desire,
Your
right?
homework is to go watch Twisted Desire. And
Melissa
then
kills her parents or something.
Stop.
I'm so in love with David. And he won't date me because my dad, Daniel Baldwin, is so brutal. Like he's so strict and he like tears me out of a party and embarrasses me and David. And so I decide that I find this other boy and I start dating him and I convince him to kill my parents. And if he kills my parents, then I can put him in prison and the parents are dead and I can get David back.
Wow. Twisted Desire, guys.
Based on a real story too. It was like,
I was just going to say that sounds like a true crime. Very true crime.
It was like an NBC movie, right?
I think it was NBC. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the kid? Jeremy Jordan.
Yeah.
A very unique character.
Jeremy Jordan is best known for his song. He was actually like a white rapper or something. Who Tori Spelling at the beginning of 90210, like one whole season, she'd go to the jukebox in the Peach Pit, push a button, go Jeremy Jordan, all right, and push it, and his song would come on.
Oh, stop!
He was intense. Do you remember? He was like
so intense, so intense. You're right.
Oh.
Like I only had a few scenes with David, and I had to be with Jeremy all the time, but Jeremy was a lot to handle. Yeah, I wasn't used to actors like that, like kind of method, sort of.
That was a fun shoot. And I had just started dating my wife at the time, and she came down to visit me.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
And yeah, I have great memories from that time.
Oh, I thank you for sharing that.
No, that
Melissa,
you have
because
to watch
David's not. I'm really good at sharing the amount of like bad things I've been in over the years, and there are a lot of them. But David, you're very quiet. You're very tight-lipped about your work. I find.
I'm
I need to dig out.
I'm forgetful.
Yeah, you actually do not remember anything. So
I
think it's part of this industry, though. That's what I've realized. Like, because I've been doing a podcast, and when I have actors on, we're constantly talking about things we don't remember. I think it's because we have to flush so much dialogue and stuff out of our like. We also have to be okay with like leaving whole crews that feel like family.
Yeah, right.
You know, we're kind of a traveling circus, and then we have to like memorize all this stuff and then flush it out. And I don't think we're good at retaining a lot.
Yeah, that is true. You do have to compartmentalize a bit, right?
But as soon as you mention it, I remember everything. You know, like I just need to recall it. But tell me about the movie with Adrian Grenier.
Oh yeah, Drive Me Crazy.
Drive Me Crazy. Yeah, that was a huge deal for you, right?
Yeah, it was a big Fox movie. I think it turned out to be one of their 3 like highest grossing movies that year or something. It didn't make that much, but for what it cost, it made its money back. But it was really fun. We shot in Utah though, which was really tough, but it was during the season of Sabrina. So I think there was a point when I worked 51 days straight without a day off, and I wouldn't sleep on Sundays. So I would go to work on Sabrina Monday morning, go record the animated series Monday afternoon, rehearse Tuesday, shoot Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, get on a red eye or get on a plane late that night to Utah, wake up Saturday morning, shoot like 3 p.m. to 3 a.m., sleep a little bit, like go back to work like 3 p.m. Sunday, and then directly from set at like 5 a.m. Monday morning, I'd get on a plane back to LA and go straight to the set on Sabrina. And I did that for weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So that was fun. But it was me, Kimmy, who worked in wardrobe, and my hairdresser. And the three of us would do this whole crazy thing. I wouldn't sleep until late Monday night from waking up like noon on Sunday.
There's something about when you're young, you can kind of do that and think that this is like crazy and amazing and I can't believe you're doing this. And can you even imagine trying that today?
Oh my gosh, I say that all the time. I'm like, if I survive, I use that so many times in my back pocket as like, I survived that.
Survived, right?
Seriously, I could do like 2 things a day, maybe 3,
Exactly.
if there's no traffic. Melissa, the Maxim cover, I remember when you did that, and I remember being like, what the hell? Like, she's all grows up.
Which part with the hell? Me or the backlash?
No, how beautiful you look, but it was like, it was a new year. It was sexy and provocative.
You thought it was a little shocking. Okay.
Well, because, I mean, you're like my sister, you know? I was like, how did that come to be? I mean, that was like a daring thing to do.
Well, 1999 was a big year for me. And I think that's the year, I looked it up on IMDb. I think that's the year you started on the show. So we were about season 3, I think it was. And so that's the year Drive Me Crazy was coming out. And Sabrina was rolling, right? We had just gotten a lot of notoriety in the last year for actually doing well. Like, we weren't expected to do well. It was Clueless and Sabrina. And Clueless was expected to be the big hit, and we were sort of the underdog. And then it sort of shifted. And so around this same time, I think Sabrina was hitting 100 episodes or something, or we had gotten picked up where we knew we were going to get to 100 episodes. We got picked up in the 2nd season for 3 and 4, which we know in this industry does not happen.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was awesome. Like, just, we knew we were getting a syndication. We knew we were going to get to 100 episodes. So there was like a lot of press and a lot of stuff going on. And I had done a bunch of magazine covers and a bunch of stuff, but Maxim, I was at the Playboy Mansion one night at like their Midsummer Nights party, whatever. Basically,
oh yeah, I remember those.
We all remember this.
And, yeah, I wasn't very sober, let's say, and but I'd done a few photo shoots where it was like, roll in, do a few pictures, leave. But I was like really, really like hammered from the Playboy Mansion. Plus, I was like in underwear all night long, so I was comfortable walking onto the Maxim photo shoot where it was like a 10-hour shoot. I was exhausted. I'm like falling asleep on the set, and I'm wearing these little skimpy things that I would normally never allow to be photographed in, but I was feeling pretty good after the night before, and I was like, and we did these photos. But the thing is, it hit. So I'm at the Drive Me Crazy premiere in New York, waiting for Britney Spears to show up on the red carpet so we could do press together. I have just broken up with my boyfriend. My family's there, but I can't see them because I'm being whisked off. This is like the worst day of my life. At the time, I was being whisked from the premiere of Drive Me Crazy. I was going to be taken in a car, flown to Vancouver to shoot Scary Movie. I was supposed to be in Scary Movie.
Yes.
And so I was having to like see my family, break up with my boyfriend, and I get in the car, I'm like crying because I had to leave my family in New York and I was all sad. And I get in the car and I get a phone call, like on one of those like car phones. And they're like, don't go to the airport. You've been fired from Scary Movie. And I was like, yes, I'm going to stay in New York. Someone else had replaced me. I think it was Carmen Electra. I was like, awesome. Great.
You were happy to be.
I was so relieved. I'm like, I don't have to go shove this in before I go back. Yeah. So anyway, I go to, I don't even know what your question was, but I'm just rolling with this. So,
no, the Maxim cover. Was it again Paula's brain?
No, she called me and she like cursed me out that night. So I go from being emotional and leaving to going straight to the party at Planet Hollywood. So when the premiere ends and everybody shows up, I'm like, hey, everybody, I'm still here. I can party tonight. I can stay all week, whatever. And my lawyer comes running up to me and goes, don't talk to anyone. You're being fired from your show because you did Maxim magazine. So my mom calls me and she's like,
from Sabrina?
What did you do? Yeah. She's like, what did you do? We're being sued and you're being fired. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And they're like, what did you do? I still hadn't seen the cover. But
Christine,
apparently,
she was in like sexy lingerie on the
Yes,
cover.
I
of that.
remember this. I
23.
remember this was scandalous. This was headline news. I remember
was.
this.
Like Leno
was.
talked about it, like Regis and
Yes.
Kelly talked about it, or Regis and Kathy Lee talked about it, like every morning. It was news for like a week, whether or not I was
sure.
allowed to be sexy on the cover of the magazine. But the thing is, and I've never seen this before or after, but Maxim wrote Sabrina on the cover, not Melissa. They didn't put my name. They
Oh
put
my
Sabrina.
God.
Oh my gosh.
So that Archie comics that we got for $1, there was a very big like contract drawn up about what I was and was not allowed to do as the character. And being seen in my underwear was not what I was allowed to do as the character. So they're saying they tried to claim that I was playing Sabrina. My publicist got me some press for a movie I was doing. So it became big news and they didn't fire me. I ended up writing an apology letter, although I didn't. My lawyer did. I didn't even know what happened.
Why didn't you make them write Melissa Joan Hart? Why did you allow them to?
I had no idea. They did it, they did it themselves, but
And you certainly weren't playing Sabrina during that photo shoot. So that's a bit of a stretch.
And it says, if you look at the cover, it says Sabrina, your favorite witch without a stitch. And
I thought they were so clever. That's why.
They set you up. But listen, it actually, it was a great transition for you from, a child actor to being, like a leading woman, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Britney Spears Rolling Stone when she was like 17 and laying down and all the, with her.
No, it was tasteful.
It was different. Well,
and you were in your 20s. Yeah, you were in your 20s.
I'd already done Details. I was on the cover of Details magazine with a bunch of women. It was like the 8 hottest women in television, supposedly. And they had put a billboard up on Sunset Boulevard. Nobody had a problem with that. Nobody said anything about that. But when I was like 20, but then here I am at 23. And all of a sudden I'm not allowed to be sexy. But actually that's the press that I think made Drive Me Crazy such a big hit, was that my name was everywhere because of this scandal.
Intrigue, interest.
I feel like now they're girls are even younger that are trying to, whether it's on TikTok or social media, they're trying to, be provocative at a much younger age than you were.
Well, and it's interesting. I think about that. Like, Christine, I don't know how you feel about the Nickelodeon days. Like, I mean, my mom was partly responsible for like making sure I still had my eyebrow. Like, they weren't allowed to pluck my eyebrows. I wasn't allowed to wear mascara. There were certain things she wouldn't allow. But then Miley Cyrus comes along maybe a decade later and is looking hot when she's young.
Well, yeah. And yeah, we've talked about this, David, too, of Hey Dude, because it was like one of the original Nickelodeon shows. I mean, we couldn't wear labels. We were so covered up. We were, ours was Western themed, but
Christine
we couldn't
was
wear
dressed
anything cool.
in the opposite of your provocative clothing.
No, it was as, if I didn't have a bandana around my neck, that was a little bit loose.
That's
but yeah.
If I watch it back, I'm in like leggings with a skirt, with high socks, with combat boots.
You look your age.
Vest, and,
exactly. We looked our age when you look back. I mean, I really think that is the difference. And, our kids, grew up on the Hannah Montanas and the, iCarlys, and those kids always looked older, a little older and cooler. And that just was a different era, I think.
It's true. I think we were protected in that way. We were sheltered.
For sure.
In a good way.
I'll take it.
Right. But just like your Maxim cover, I feel like all those girls, whether it's, iCarly or Selena Gomez or, Ariana, they all have a moment where they go from I'm not a Nickelodeon Disney kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now a sexy adult.
There's a little bit of a backlash with it, like in your own even Britney, I think any kind of you have that sort of the rubber band snaps back, like you're this way for so long, you're like, known as a child, and you want to be a woman, and kind of happens a little too soon, I think, for a lot of girls.
Mm.
Right. Well, you were 23, and you know what? I feel like you started some type of trend where a child actor says, at one moment, I'm going to be on the cover of a magazine and let the world know I'm no longer, Clarissa or iCarly. you know?
But had I not been at the Playboy Mansion the night before, I probably would have been like, you're not putting me in those.
Well, thank you.
Give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more coverage. Although
I'll
will
take
tell
a
you,
little robe.
there was a photo. So this is back in the day when the photos were still Polaroid, right? And film. So before all the digital stuff. So I had him take a test Polaroid. There's a photo of me sitting on stairs, but I'm kind of like sideways where you can see like the side of my thong and like my legs look nice and long, which they're not. But it's this great shot. But I remember that the Polaroid that he wanted to take was between my legs, looking up at me on the stairs. And I was like, let me see the Polaroid, and then we'll decide if this is the pose I want to do. And I saw the Polaroid and I went, nope. And I tore it up right there and then, and I turned to the side and I'm like, we'll do it this way. And thank God I did that. I can't even imagine.
I mean, Paula taught you well.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what, Dave, to your point of what you said before about like, it was weird to see me like that. It's honestly that magazine, because how much it was shoved in my brother's face, who was in high school or even younger, I think. And my dad's face by his buddies at work and stuff, that I decided not to do anything else or go any further with stuff like that, because I was like, oh gosh, they're going to see this. Like, this is not, and someday I'll have kids and they'll, you know, while I was like, oh, I love my body. I'm comfortable in my body. I have no problem doing it. But then it was like my dad and my brother getting picked on for it made me go, oh, I'm not going to do anymore.
Yeah, I remember that in the years where, because I was a huge horror movie fan, and in those and I ended up doing a couple of them, but one in particular, they really wanted like a topless scene, and I really drew the line, and because I really wanted to be in this horror movie, and it was not a very B movie, and I remember being 20.
What was it? Wait,
it was Night of the Demons 2.
Okay.
Night of the Demon, not one, two.
Definitely worth taking your top off for that.
And
movie.
I could see it. I said, I'm happy to wear a bra. Like, I'm happy to do that for it. I know what these movies are about, but that's just where I have to draw the line, because my Catholic grandmother sees everything that I do, and my father. And I really did think about it at the time. I also knew, I was modest. I would not have been comfortable doing it anyway. I mean, some people are, and I have no judgment, but I knew for Night of the Demons 2, I was like, I'm not going to do that. And I will just do it. And I passed. I remember thinking it was a big deal because they offered it to me. And I said, I can't do it. I can't. And then they came back.
There's a whole nother contract for that.
Oh, there is. They tried to negotiate with me even. They were like, how about 3 seconds of breast with 1 second of nipple? And I was like, no, guys, I'm really not doing it.
Or
I'm
there's
really
what's called
not
side boob. Side boob. Yes.
Side boob, under boob. Yes.
I like a good side boob. I could do a little side boob. That's not as far as I'm going. I'm not going nipple.
No nipples. No nipples.
I ended up doing the movie, but I did a smaller part in the movie where I just had to be in a bra. But I got my Night of the Demons experience. That's my little side.
I love it. Let's move on to real quick. First of all, Christine, Paula and Melissa take care of their crew, their family, and they generously offered me a role on Melissa's show, Melissa and Joey. And I don't know how many years ago it was, but
I'd say generously, but like we wanted you, like we needed you there.
I know, but I showed up and there's like, half the crew from Sabrina's there, like you guys just, you're loyal, family people, And
was that the one Elisa, was Elisa in that one too?
Well, should I tell that story or?
You can, sure.
Well, Tara Reid was playing the role. I think I did like 3 of them, but Tara Reid was playing the role and then she didn't show up for the run through.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And she thought they had let her go for the day. And then the next day, Elisa Donovan showed up.
Yeah. So it was a little Sabrina reunion accidentally on the set in the cast.
Yeah. And Joey's my castmate from Blossom. And it was just so much fun. Like, how was that show for you guys? Because you did over 100 episodes, right?
Yeah, we did like 104 of Melissa and Joey. That one I had a really, really good time on, but it was a mix of what pained me on Clarissa and Sabrina. It was a light amount of work because it was actually the first true sitcom I had done in front of an audience, which, as the 3 of us know, is like the golden there's nothing better for having a family.
The best job for an actor. Yes, exactly.
We actually stopped working. I actually moved our show nights to Thursday night so I could have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. and then would work like a little bit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like I'd rather work more on Monday than go in for a table read and be done. So I was like, let's do table reads Thursdays before shoot, and then have Friday off and come in Monday and just, start. So it was a great schedule. The only problem is I just moved my family to Connecticut and we were shooting in LA. And so I spent, and of course with these shows, you're like, oh, it's probably just going to be 10 episodes. It's going to be 12 episodes. It's going to be 22 episodes. Oh, it's only going to be a second season. So I never moved my family back there until about third season when I realized, all right, I can't be away from my kid. Like I had 2 little ones. They were 1 and 3 and I'd never left them before. And all of a sudden I'm like leaving them. I thought it was better for them to sleep in their own bed, go to their school, be with their friends, and mommy will come back and forth. But it was so hard on me. But I had such a blast. That character was my favorite character that I played. Don't tell anyone because people get mad about that. But it was
so fun. The show was really funny.
She was such a mess. Like Mel is a lush, like slut who, is suddenly charged with raising her niece and nephew who are teenagers because her sister's in prison. And so she's got to raise these kids and she doesn't know how. So she hires Joey as her manny. And it was just so fun and so stupid and so silly and like just what I wanted to be doing. But my family was all the way across the country. So that was just taxing on me emotionally. So I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have liked it.
Yeah.
I'm always living somewhere away from where I work. It sucks.
That feels like that's nowadays everywhere, of everybody now. You can live wherever you want because there is really, it used to just be Los Angeles was the hub of everything. And now that it's rare to work there, I think.
That's why I moved to Connecticut because I was like, after Sabrina ended, it felt like I was working in Baton Rouge and Atlanta and Vancouver. I was like, well, then let's move where we want and I'll travel down for these movies. But then to get a long running series, it was like, so a few years ago, I got a series for Netflix called No Good Nick. And I was like, we're not doing that again. We actually moved to Lake Tahoe because it was a much shorter commute for me to get to LA to like a 45-minute flight and I could be home for the weekend, so that was a much easier thing. But that's Melissa and Joey was really, really fun. But it was, and again, we had some great guest stars, but really it was like, there was like 4 or 5 of us in the cast and we just got to be silly, just super silly.
There's so few people that I can think of who have had that many successful series. Like you said, when you started Melissa and Joey, you thought it was going to be a season. And by the way, a lot of times as an actor, when you go into that, you think that would be perfect for me. I'll do this. This would be great. I'll get a little dose of that. And then, but to have 3 long running series that you are leading. I mean, I think it's there. I was yes, the title character. Yeah. I was thinking like Julia Louis-Dreyfus I can think of is another one. Like you're in a very elite category.
There's been a few and I do recognize how, it's like lightning striking like 3-4 times. So it's I'm unfortunately my Netflix show only went 20 episodes, but
it's okay.
How was working with Sean Astin? Because honestly, Rudy's one of my favorite.
David, I love you, but Sean is like a teddy bear.
Really?
Like as much as you and I have fun and go out drinking and stuff, like Sean and I can sit and talk for, you and I are the same way, but like, he's just a doll. He is just hilarious. We disagree on politics. We get in great arguments, but like always with so much love and so much. He was so thrilled to be doing a sitcom because his mom is Patty Duke, right? And so she had her series.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
And his dad was Gomez on the Gomez.
Yes,
Adams,
exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And then his brother was Mackenzie Astin on Facts of Life or one. Anyway, he had so Sean's like, I've never gotten to do a sitcom. This is my first time doing a sitcom, and he was just so thrilled. He's like, just happy to be here, right? That's
so funny. A kid who starts out doing like Steven Spielberg movies. And some of the most classic movies is
Rudy, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, is so excited to be on a sitcom. I love it.
Yeah, he was like, I finally get to do a sitcom. It was so cute. He was so sweet. And it would drive me nuts because we never did this on Melissa and Joey or any other live show I was ever really on. Like you'd sign some autographs for some people in the audience, like sometimes, but you usually just be done with work and want to go change, like almost like a play, right? Go change, maybe sign a few autographs. Well, Netflix decides to bring everybody down and make us sign autographs for 200 people. Like they line them up and we do almost like a Comic-Con signing every night, every like Friday night after a taping for like an hour and a half. And I started getting really annoyed. And Sean is sitting there talking to everybody, hugging everybody. Do you want a picture? Do you want a picture with your mom? Do you want a picture? Can I sign something else? Writing, what's your name? How do you spell that? Writing out long messages. And I'm like, Sean, Like, I'm not that nice. I'm like, I gotta go home. I want to go to bed. I finally finished my show. I can delete this whole script from my brain. Got to start again on Monday. I want to go home. And he's just like a total doll. Makes me feel like a total bitch.
Oh, no. He's just, when you find those people who have been in the business since they were so young, and you have been too, and we're all entitled to those nights, but isn't that cool to have that experience with him from somebody who you just know loves every second of it? David, I think that's become a theme. Like, we're talking to so many people who have just truly love what they do and how infectious that can be. Like, really just how much, just good people. And it's so great to get to work with good people.
People who have the longevity that you have, like we spoke about with Jeff Bridges or Jerry O'Connell was talking about Tom Cruise. These people are the kindest, most generous people who love to be on set and love to support their fellow actors. I mean, that's a theme we have been seeing through all our episodes.
Yeah, I think that's where the longevity comes from, right? The people that can keep a positive attitude in this crazy business, because it is like a circus, right? So you're constantly going in and out of high pressure situations with new people that you're meeting or working with, and you never know kind of what you're going to get handed. You never know what's coming next. It's always a guessing game. It's always a go-getter. You've got to kind of make your own path and find your own sort of. It's very rare that things generate themselves in this business, I feel like. And so it's kind of nice to find people that love what they're doing. Like I always say, I would do craft service on a set just to be on set,
Yeah. I want to just say, first of all, this was such a treat getting to meet you finally. And one little parting story from me is the Sweethearts in the Valley was the staple when my kids were little. And my daughter, we would go there, and it was, we have these memories. And when we were leaving LA to move back to New York, and we rented out the place as this big surprise going away party for my daughter, for all of her friends. And they put a sign, I can picture it. I have photographs of it. There was a sign out front that said, "We're going to miss you, Ella," that she didn't catch until after she left. And she just thought we were going for a little treat after school. It was such a lovely place that you created there. And it was just the memories I have with my daughter of just being able to go there and just sit and have a little slice of cake and have candy. I mean, it's just because we're such sweet people in this
That's
family.
An awesome thing to hear. My mom and I always wanted to open a candy store, and we kept looking for real estate. And my realtor friend was like, "Oh, I think I'm going to open one over here. Do you want to do it with me?" And I jumped in, but he had some other partners, and those other partners were a little crooked. And so I think that's what ultimately sank it.
Yeah, but
because I hear these stories all the time about people that went all the time and loved it and have these great memories there. Like I think the Kardashians threw a party and Roy E. Disney's son or something threw and I'm like, that's amazing to hear. And I literally hear about it almost every month. Someone will say, "Whatever happened to Sweethearts?" Yeah,
it's really it is, imprinted in my heart.
Oh, that's so sweet to hear.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And what a pleasure having you. Like we could talk to you for another 3 hours.
I know, seriously.
We'll watch Twisted Desire, and let's just do one episode about Twisted Desire.
And you two should play. You two should honestly play sisters in something.
We should.
Let's play.
I'll come up with it. Melissa, thank you so much, sweetie. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you. Thank you guys for having me. And hopefully I can hug you soon, David and Christine. Hopefully we can actually be in person at some point.
Yes, that would be so terrific. Much love.
Right. You guys take care.
All right. Say hi to Mark and your mom and your fam.
Will do. You too.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe and give us 5 stars.
And please follow us on Instagram at HeyDude, the 90s Called. See you next time.